These are my games, and I have about currently 730 unique games. Most are loose, but I actually have about 125 games in the box. You got a bunch here. These are actually 2 layers of games. I don't know if you can get that, but there's another layer of games, but I put the nicer ones in front. And I put them in these little plastic holders. You can buy these from a website. And it gives them a little bit of protection here. Here's the loose games. I'm not going to go through a lot of them. You got your weird color dreams games. Here's a weird one, Baby Boomer. These guys I've had since my childhood here. You got DK Junior Plush. I think I got these down at the boardwalk, down at the Jersey Shore. Alright, here we got Bandit Kings of Ancient China. This is one you don't see often. It's from Koei. Now, Koei made a lot of military strategy games. They made Emperor. They made Nobunaga's Ambition, I believe. And this guy here. You don't find them that often. Underneath is a personal favorite of mine, Barbie. You got Blackjack here. This is an American video entertainment game. These are unlicensed. Now, I'm not sure what the fun is playing Blackjack on your Nintendo. But hey, you feel like gambling, you don't want to go to Atlantic City, you pop this sucker in right here and get hours, literally hours of enjoyment, or minutes. Alright, keeping on the gambling theme, we got Casino Kid 1 and 2. Now, Casino Kid is basically, you're in a casino, you play whatever games are there. Got that? Casino Kid 2 is actually hard to find. Caveman Games is a fun one. It's kind of like the Olympics, except you're a caveman and you're trying to create fire and you're rolling around on stone wheels and you're fighting saber-toothed kitty cats. One of the worst games ever that no one's ever heard of. Color a dinosaur. You know what you do in this game? Color a dinosaur. That's what you do. You fill in the colors like in the lines. You don't draw. You select the color to fill in spots. That's really what it is. It's a coloring book on your Nintendo. That's what this game is. And it's terrible. We got all 4 Donkey Kongs lined up here. Donkey Kong Classics is actually a compilation of Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. So if you want to pick up this one instead of getting 2 games, you know, you got both right here, and you're good to go. You don't need Donkey Kong 3. No one likes that game. We got a Camerica game. I went over these guys in what video was that? Ultimate Stuntman. That's what video it was. These guys went over in the Ultimate Stuntman video. These are the Camerica games. Here's Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy. This is kind of like Camerica's version of Mario. It's an egghead guy. These actually aren't bad platform games. They're not bad. Underneath is Fantasy Zone. Well, underneath is Fantasy Zone. This is a good shoot 'em up where you're like this kind of hybrid bug robot. Now this has the distinction of being, I believe, one of the only games that's on both the Sega Master System, the Nintendo, and the TurboGrafx 16. So this is a solid one here. Gargoyle's Quest 2 is actually uncommon. The first one wasn't on Nintendo. The first one was on the Game Boy, and it was so popular on the Game Boy, they came out with the sequel on the NES here. Ghost Lion has the distinction of having a cover that looks like it's out of an 80s glam rock video. Take a look at that. Yeah. Woo! Nice hair. Hatris. Hatris is a game probably no one has heard of. People are probably like, what the hell is Hatris? Well, it's Tetris with hats. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now, the interesting thing about these games, same cover, different games. The games in these are actually entirely different. They're different developers. One's Taito, and the other one's Ubisoft. Jackie Chan's Kung Fu. This is also on the TurboGrafx. We got Joe and Mac. Now, most of you guys realize this is on the Super Nintendo, but it was also on the NES. Kickle Cubicle, this is a fun one, underrated, not many people have even heard of this one. You know, you're kind of like on a bunch of ice blocks and you kill guys to make more ice blocks and make like a path to get to your kind of like your treasure. It's a pretty cool game. King's Quest V is the only game that was a Sierra PC game that was put on the computer. Maniac Mansion is also a point-and-click adventure game. This was from LucasArts, kind of a twisted game. Maxi 15, I forgot I had this. In a cool Funko-Land sleeve, by the way. I have hundreds of these things. Maxi 15 is basically an unlicensed multi-cart game. The difference is these games are all original. They're not, you know, pulled from other games illegally. These are all original games. Maybe I'll review this one sometime. I got the Mega Man 1 through 6 here. If you want to go educational, you got 2 games called Mickey's Safari in Letterland, and you also have Mickey's Adventure in Numberland. I don't have the actual piano attachment, but if you want to learn how to play the piano, you buy the Miracle Piano System. Had this game, it had a piano you hooked up to your Nintendo, or Super Nintendo actually. They had a version for that as well. North and South. It's a Civil War military strategy game. Really, really cool stuff right here. You got Pac-Man, the Namco version. This is the hardest to find. The licensed Pac-Man Tengen game. And then you got the unlicensed Pac-Man Tengen game. They're all the same exact game. So it doesn't really matter which one you'd ever get. I can't reach. Here's something cool. Here's Punch-Out. Not Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but Punch-Out. Once Nintendo lost the licensing right to use Mike Tyson's likeness, they basically switched his sprite out to Mr. Dream. That's the only difference between the 2 games. When you get to the last boxer, it's Mr. Dream, not Mike Tyson. So this is actually uncommon compared to the original Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. But did you know there's an unofficial sequel to Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? Most people don't know. Power Punch 2. Now you're going to ask yourself, Pat, there was no Power Punch 1. Exactly. Power Punch 1 was really Punch-Out. This company released this terrible, terrible sequel to Mike Tyson's Punch-Out called, they renamed it Power Punch 2 because Nintendo said it was so awful they didn't want to be associated with it. So this guy here, he looks like Mike Tyson, but he actually isn't, but he originally was designed to be him. So some trivia right there for you that no one cares about. I got boxed Tetris, not the Nintendo version, the far, far superior Tengen version. What makes this better? It's got better music, and this has simultaneous 2-player mode. The Nintendo version does not have that one. And this game is the reason why Tengen became an unlicensed company, because there was a big lawsuit over this game between Nintendo and Tengen. And they basically said, screw you Nintendo, we're going to make our own games. We're going to bypass your lockout chip technology. And that's why when you see those black games like Gauntlet, or Fantasy Zone, or RBI Baseball, it's because they became unlicensed. Video game! Now what exactly is this? This is like this is a pirate. This is actually Super Mario 3, but it's like a bootleg from, I believe, South America. Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. This is like the biggest box for a game, besides Big Box Gyro and Stack Up. You also have this desk encyclopedia. Hey kid, I just got you a new game. Oh boy, Dad, what is it? Is it Contra? Is it Kung Fu? No, it's a desk encyclopedia game. Oh yeah, that's great. Here's a Color Dreams game that's discolored. Raid 2020. This actually happened to a bunch of Color Dreams games that were originally blue. They kind of fade into this kind of ugly green mess here. Now the cool thing about Tengen is that they brought games out on Nintendo that would have been able to come out anyway, like Shinobi. Shinobi was one of Sega's big guys. It was on the Genesis at the same time, Sega Master System before that. So if it wasn't for this company here, you probably wouldn't get this on Nintendo. And this is a pretty solid port. Now Color Dreams, the reason these games are uncommon is because they're unlicensed. And if a game was unlicensed, Nintendo were pretty hard-assed about it. They wouldn't let a place like Toys R Us or Kitty City or KB stores, they wouldn't let them stock these games. They basically said, you're only going to stock licensed games, or else we're not going to let you stock any of our games, which was an illegal practice at the time. Companies wouldn't be able to get away with that now. So these games were largely only available in rental stores, where you'd also, rent VHS tapes or Nintendo games. They're pretty cool boxes. I like the artwork. Master Chew over here, and Robo Demons. Here's an unlicensed American Video Entertainment game, Venice Beach Volleyball. Now, this was unlicensed. You can see a girl's thong there. I don't think Nintendo will let this one be released. Star Trek 25th anniversary right here. Super Glove Ball. This is one of the only games that was designed to be used with the Power Glove. Doesn't save it. It's an awful game. Tecmo World Wrestling is one of the better wrestling games that came out in the system. I'd say this and Pro Wrestling are probably the only wrestling games worth playing on the entire system. The WWF games aren't that good. There was the Tiny Toons Cartoon Workshop, which you basically made your own short little sequences. I said this in a video way back. Tubing. I love tubing. You're on a little tube going down a river and you're throwing like soda beer cans at things. Really fun game, especially in the arcade. Arcade version is fantastic. Wally Bear and the No Gang, the infamous anti-drug game. Where's Waldo? Idiotic book series, dumber game. And we'll go to the end of the line, Zombie Nation. Really cool game. You're a floating red head, giant ugly head, and you're flying around and you're breathing fire and stuff, and you're killing things.